5. How are you today? I hope you are all fine. Today I will start a new lesson. It is about friction force. Okay. First of all, I ask you to rub your hands together. So after a while, what you are going to feel? You are going to feel some heat. Yes. This is because the friction force. So what is meant by friction force? Friction force, it is the force exists or arises between two surfaces and when they are touching each others. So those surfaces touching each other. It acts in the opposite direction of the movement. So if the movement, you want to use this, if the movement in this direction, so it acts in the other direction again. So this movement in this direction, so the friction force, it opposes it. Okay, so it is the force between two surfaces, which is the box and the ground. Okay, it acts in the opposite direction of the movement. Okay, so they are in the opposite direction of the movement. What are the types? Frictions between solids, friction between the solid and the air, it's called air resistance. Friction between bodies and the water is called water resistance. So friction between solids, and here are some experiment to show friction between solids objects. If we are going to roll a rubber ball on a sandy floor and on a sandy floor once and another on a smooth floor, okay, unwrapping it on the sandy floor and unwrapping it on the smooth floor, so which one will stop first? Okay, can we guess? Yes, it will like stops first on the sandy floor because it has a more friction force. But in case of smooth surface or smooth ground, it has a less friction force. Okay, so on a sandy floor, the ball will stop moving after a while. On a smooth ball, on a smooth floor, the ball will stop moving after a long time. Okay, so okay, because it has a less friction force. So friction force happen when two surfaces touching each other, which is the floor and the wall touching each other, and it acts in the opposite direction. So in case of the surface is smooth, so it will take a long time to stop. If we are riding a bike and start pedaling and then stop movement, okay, what will we observe? That the bike continue moving in the same direction after stop pedaling. Okay, it means that the speed decreases gradually until it stops. Conclusion that the friction force happens between two surfaces, the wheels of the bike and the road. They are touching each other and also in the opposite direction. Okay, so if the bike is turning in this direction, so the friction force acting in the other direction. So the first one we have talking that we have two balls that we are going to roll them on the two surfaces, which is a sandy floor and also in the smooth surface. And the second one, when we are riding a bike and we are going to find that the speed will decrease gradually until it stops. Put a plastic cube in the inclined wooden board and increase the inclination of the board. When we are putting this slide or this ram in the certain angle, this box does not move. Why? Because the gravity force is more than the friction force. But after increasing the inclination or the slope, we are going to find this box will overcome the gravity force and the friction force increase and become more than the gravity force, so it will slide down. So in a step 1, the cube does not slide down. In the step 2, the box slide down. Okay. Conclusion: when the friction force is more than the movement, it means the gravity. Okay, the body does not move. Okay. Again, when the friction force is bigger than the movement, so the body does not move. When the friction force is less than the gravity, so it moves while we are increasing the inclination. Factors affecting friction: surface area of the moving object. Surface area, it means the size. Okay, by increasing the surface area of the moving object, the friction force will increase. We are going to talk it I'll talk it in details later. Like if we have the folded paper and we have the unfolded paper, the one which has a more surface area, which is the unfolded one, so it will have a more surface area, so it will have more friction force, and vice versa. So less the surface area, it will have a less friction force. Type of material surface, we said we talk about smooth surface and also dry surface. Okay, so friction force increase between rough surfaces and decrease between smooth surfaces. The speed of body, you began, friction force increase between rough, so it stops after a while. Took a long time to stop between smooth surfaces because it's decreased. The speed of the body, by increasing the speed of the moving object, the friction force increased. Okay, so if we are in the car and we are increasing the speed of its body, the resistance force will increase. What is the advantage of the friction force? It helps us to move and stop the car using the car brakes. It also enables the driver to control the car speed and change its direction. Okay, it enables people to walk. Why? Or give reason that the friction force between the shoes and the ground. Friction force between the shoes and ground prevents the people from slipping down, or sliding down. It helps to light the match by striking it across the rough surface of the match. So it helps to stop the car, it helps us to walk, it controls the car speed and changes direction, and also help us to match the or light up the match. Disadvantages of it is led to the rise temperature of a machine and maybe led to the damage of machines. Okay, how to decrease the friction force? I think it's not on this term. It is like they are remove this part, but we are going to say it. How to decrease the friction force? By using oil and lubricants. It is like a thin layer between the internal moving parts of the machine, and they are used in car engine. It's something for reading. It's not on our curriculum. And also for ball bearings, they are a group of ball or small spool between internal of the moving parts of the machine, and this part exists in the axis of the car engine and transmits the motion from the car engine to the wheels. So this is for reading. Live applicant, okay, this is also for reading. That's all for our lesson.